Thank you for joining Wellingtone's latest webinar, Building PMO Services. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Emma Arnath-Pemberton. I'm the Director of Consulting Services at Wellingtone, and I'm a PMO specialist by trade. So I spend my life reviewing, analysing, setting up, transforming PMOs. At Wellingtone, I also look after sustainability and corporate social responsibility, and I look after and organise our Future PMO conference every year, which some of you looking at the names, I already recognise you've been to it before. So if you want to find out more, you can scan the QR code on there and you can follow us to find out more information. If you're new to the Wellingtone community, we are a project management consultancy firm. We're based in the UK with our head office in Windsor. We have offices in Madrid and in Dublin, and we have partners in Latin America as well. And we're quite unique in the marketplace. We are a Microsoft Gold partner. We deploy Microsoft project technology. I run our consultancy team, so spend quite a lot of time working with PMOs to seeing how we can improve things and get them to their next level of maturity. And we also founded our Wellingtone Academy, which covers courses, everything from Agile to PMO to assurance to sponsorship. We like to keep abreast of what's going on in the industry, so our conference, Future PMO, happens every year, and we run events like this every single month. They're all free to attend, they're all no sales, really designed to allow you as part of our community to learn, share and grow your capability as a PMO and project management professional. Today, we're talking about PMO services. This is something very close to my heart. So the first thing that we're going to do is understand how to define the services of our PMO. For those of you who might be new, one of the key things for you to go back and look for on our webpage is the video from Future PMO, which really talks about the fact that we are, as PMOs, we are integrators, we are a service provider, and therefore we have customers. And in order to manage those customers, we need to have a set of services that we deploy so that they are able to choose to utilize those services. So we're going to understand today that next level of detail on how to define the PMO services. We're going to uncover some of the key elements that make up our PMO services and some of the things that quite often get missed when we're defining PMOs. We're going to see how to make our service status clear, so how well we are performing, and we're going to learn some key steps so that you don't miss anything if you're going down this path. Now, most PMOs understand and acknowledge that they provide a set of services. When we try to define those, we get unstuck because we don't know what wording to use, how to really sell the concept of a service to our internal customers who are in part project managers, they're also sponsors, they're also team members who are contributing to projects, as well as lots of other interested parties around the organisation. So it's really important to, definitely do some background knowledge searching, have a look at some of our videos and articles on this. After this session, you will receive an email with the slides from today and any additional links that I think you might find useful based on the kind of questions that we get in the Q&A. So let's start at the beginning. Let's not just try and create a whole list of services without attaching them to something that's going to really add value and really explain what our PMO is here to do. So we're going to take it back a step and talk about the concept of PMO functions. And at Wellingtone, when I work with PMOs, this is one of the things that we do when defining the service catalogue, is we actually split our services into 3 core areas. Now, it doesn't have to be 3, it could be 4, it could be 2, it really depends on your reality. The first one is we do some things that are strategically focused. So these are about supporting the business to define, monitor and implement their portfolio of change. Some of our services are more focused around delivery. So that's about providing the tools to the delivery teams to deliver change whilst also being able to assure the leadership that we're doing the right things in the right way. And then the third function is all around capability. This is about people, about giving them the confidence, the community confidence in how they are able to deliver. So it's important that we first of all look at everything that we do and we create this structure around what are the things that these things do. And sometimes if we put everything into one bucket, we can't actually see the wood for the trees. So we need to really kind of focus, sharpen the pencil a little bit to really understand what are the things that we do that are about strategy, which ones are about delivery and which ones are about capability. And remember that we know every PMO is different. So these categories might work for you, you might need to change them, you might need more, you might need less. So, but really take a critical look and don't just try to make one big long list, which effectively turns into a to-do list. And we all know that the to-do list never ever gets completed. Once you've done that, we then need to define the services that sit within each of those functions. So we've got some examples here. So one of the strategic services that a lot of PMOs will offer to their customers is portfolio prioritization. So when we look at that, we can say, actually, this is a strategic service supporting how we align and prioritize following the business planning process. This is going to help us to ensure a balanced, appropriately resourced and scheduled portfolio of change. So within that definition, we also need to think about what are the sub-processes? What does that actually look like for our customers? How are they going to interact with portfolio prioritization? And that's going to help you to define that to the next level and really think about what does that really mean for our end user. If we were we had external customers, we would make sure that that end user experience was part of the thought process. So portfolio prioritization is very common. And it is about supporting the business planning process, making sure as the conscience of the organization that our portfolio is balanced, that we have the right amount of people and resources, and that it's scheduled appropriately and smartly as well. Change management, so not change control, change management is a delivery service which enables the embedding of change and the successful transition of people who are impacted by change. So making sure that the teams who are impacted are able to develop effective, measurable change management plans so they understand what change is coming, when it's coming, and importantly, why it's coming as well. Not all PMOs do this. Some PMOs or organizations have very good change management teams within their projects already, but this could be something that might sit in that delivery function. And the last example that we have here are on frameworks and methodologies. So this is about capability. Now, we acknowledge and understand that some of our project delivery people are very experienced professional people, and maybe they don't need as much of this as some of the accidental project managers that work within our organization. So being able to deliver a service around frameworks, methodologies is all about making sure that the people involved in change are confident and they have a clear way to manage their project, whether they are experienced or not. So we need to, whilst we're doing this in each of those functions, we need to think about maybe the 5 or 6 things that we do in each area. And does that class as a service? How does the customer interact with that? And then how do we actually define that so that it's clear what it is that service is going to do? Next is around benefits. We wouldn't start a project or a program or a portfolio without understanding the benefits. However, when we talk about benefits of our services, we need to think a little bit outside of the box. PMOs, we don't deliver money to the bottom line, or we don't affect the bottom line. And so it's sometimes necessary to think about the benefit that we bring, the value that we bring in a slightly different way. Most PMOs try to think very holistically, like what does the PMO bring? What's the benefit of having a PMO? And that's where we have trouble, because a lot of it's not quantifiable. It's hard to do. So we need to make sure that let's take it down a level and think about the services that we are offering our customers, and let's put some benefits around each of those. Now, when we develop this kind of thing for PMOs, the service catalog and everything that goes with it, we tend to look at benefits across a variety of different areas for each service, because we know that not everybody's going to use every service. So these are 4 examples of the areas that we would attach benefits to. So customer, delivery team, process, and organization. So if we look at frameworks and methodologies and things like that, then we might say, actually, from a customer perspective, and this is the customer of the organization, that's going to help us to demonstrate a commitment to a balanced portfolio of change. It'll increase customer confidence, and it should lead to more commercial wins. So having the framework, having some prioritization is going to help us to service our external customers as much as our internal customers. When we then bring it in-house and we look at the delivery team, if we think about prioritizations, we can say, well, actually, this is about ensuring that our teams are not overloaded with changes. So we're able to adopt and foster a culture of partnership and develop a practice-led community of practice. So again, doing prioritization, portfolio work, that's going to help us to service our delivery team and add value in that space. Then we might say, okay, process. Let's have a look at how we're going to change or add benefit to the process world. And again, we've got creating alignment to best practice and having defined standards will encourage consistency in ways of working and effective comparison year on year, which means fundamentally we can continually improve and reach that next level of maturity. And from then a wider organization perspective, is it about fostering measurable efficiency gains against a stable portfolio, stable being the key word there, reducing waste and rework, which we tend to have because we try and do too much, which is one of the key challenges that organizations tell us when we're doing maturity assessments. So it's all about quantifiable value. So rather than try and define what is the value of my PMO as a whole thing, let's bring it down a level and say for our strategic services, these are the benefits if people use them. If people choose to consume our services, these are the benefits that we're going to see. Oh, and by the way, here are some different perspectives, because do you know what? The senior teams will probably care more about organization and customer, whereas the delivery teams and those involved in projects will care more about the benefits to them and the process that they are following. And it's important that we use this to tell a bit of a story as well. So really think about how we're going to then demonstrate this. The next thing that we need to do is understand our target users. So really kind of figuring out what is the profile of each type of person that's going to consume our services. So we've got a few here as examples. So delivery managers, probably that's an obvious one. Sponsors, that's probably an obvious one, although we do still need to do more work as PMOs to support our sponsors to do a good job and understand what their role really is. But we've also got the delivery teams, those that are contributing to projects. What do they need to know from us as a PMO? What services do they need? Do they need to have confidence in understanding what it means to be part of the process, be part of a project? What happens if they deliver late? Enablers, so other departments within the organization that are actively involved in projects more than in an ad hoc way. So it might be that commercial get involved in our projects. It might be that we have technical teams that need to be involved and considered as a target user of our services. And then, of course, we have the newbies. So the people who are interested in project management coming into the fray so that we can support them with their journey. And doing this is going to help us to cut down what I call the noise around users. Yes, everybody in the business could consume your services, but there are some groups of people that are going to help us if we identify them to, again, really put that focus where it needs to be in terms of some services are going to support every single one of these groups. Some services are going to maybe add value to one or two people, and we need to find the balance of that. The key challenge and the question that you need to answer when you're creating your service catalogue is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? It's really important that we don't try to do everything for everybody. Some services, like I've just said, will be more valuable than others in reality. So what is the problem that we're trying to solve? And let's take a pragmatic look at what that means when it comes to actually offering services. And then defining your service level agreements, your SLAs, your metrics, the things that are going to prove how your services are performing. So we need to make sure that we define the right profile for each of the services. Every service must have a metric, at least one metric anyway, associated with it. So really thinking about, what does our SLA mean? Is it about response time? Is it about how quickly we get from a new idea to a stand-up project that we're actually developing? Is it about facilitating a process? Maybe we don't own the finance process, but we can facilitate that journey for people. Is it about problem solving? Are we the team that people come to when they have issues that they can't solve? Or is it about providing a consistent experience? So really thinking about Again, not measuring the PMO as a whole, but bringing it down so that we can say, do you know what, our capability services are working really well, but our strategy services still need a little bit of work. And then just the last few pointers, depending on the service, you might need to add more detail to each of them. So, you know, the definition, the benefits of it, the SLAs, but you also might need to say, this is quite a niche discipline, so we might need to add in information around who are the people to talk to, how often should this happen, what's the process flow, where in the project lifecycle should we expect you as a customer to use that. So don't keep it to the very basics. There are some additional bits of information that are going to add more value when people land on your service catalogue, and they can then easily understand what it is that we're offering, how we facilitate that, who are the people to talk to, and how is it going to help them. And then think about future services. You don't have to offer everything tomorrow. So we need to make it clear when our services are not yet in use. There are some services that we already do, that's great. There are some that we know we're developing or improving, that's also great. We also will have some that we're aspiring to look at for the future. And we need to make sure that people understand that. The amount of times where people say, oh, we need everything set up in the next 3 months. Well, that's a great aspiration. However, most of us can't stop the day job to develop all this stuff. So we need to manage the expectation by saying, this is something that we're aspiring to. We're not ready for it yet, but this is the rough timeline. These are the risks to it, and these are the contacts if you want more information. Do not be afraid to say we're not there yet, because PMO, just like everything else in project management, is a journey. Now, we talk about, everybody always talks about tooling and kind of says, oh, what's the tool that's going to help me with this? Now, you can have a tool, we can build your tool, but that isn't going to change the culture of your organization. So there might need to be work to be done to make sure that the catalog lands in the right way for all your customers. So things that you can do, make it visual. Pictures tell stories, so make sure that you take the time to make it visually appealing. I know that sounds soft and fluffy, but you should not underestimate the power of it. Secondly, make it as simple as you possibly can. It's all about what's the least amount of information, bureaucracy, governance that I need in order to avoid chaos. So make sure that we are having the simplest approach so that it's easy to understand and consume. Make it fun. Avoid project management jargon, avoid acronyms if you possibly can, because no one understands that except for us. So make it interesting if possible, and make it so that people maybe can interact, they can click into it and find out more information. Maybe we show them little videos about what things mean or where it's been used before, when it's been a positive, it's made a positive impact on a project. And please, please share it. Do not spend the time creating a service catalogue with all these amazing defined services with benefits and everything else, and keep it to yourself. We need to bring it to life. We need to publish it so that we can manage the expectations and drive a more intelligent conversation around PMOs. Thank you so much for joining. Do continue the conversation, both with internal colleagues as well as Wellingtone. We are absolutely here to help as part of the community. Thank you very much.